Oh my God, it's so bright.
It's very bright, but I'm wearing my sunglasses.
Are we on? We're on. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are running through all the kayak gear that we would recommend for you. Doesn't matter what kayaks you guys have, by the way, so we're gonna be showing off, you know, our Hobie Pro Angler 14s. If you have a Sun Dolphin, like, you should have half of these accessories at least. So I think you'll get a lot of value out of this video. Let's dive in. All right, guys, let's start out with some safety gear. This is the #1 thing you got to start here before you look at any other accessories. Invest in safety.
This should be part of your budget when you're purchasing a kayak. Do not look at a kayak and think that that's the only thing you're going to have to buy. There are two things you absolutely must buy. One is a PFD. You can get a $25, $30 PFD. That's fine. If you're gonna be fishing, I recommend a PFD that has this higher back flotation area, because this is actually gonna prevent you from like having to rub that up against this portion of the kayak when you're sitting. That usually puts you in the $50 plus range. Do it, add that to your budget, you're buying it. This is an absolute must-have at all times. Second, do not leave the water, do not enter the water without having a paddle. It can be an emergency paddle. This is a pedal kayak. You may not have a pedal kayak. Whatever, obviously you will need this. If you have a pedal kayak, do not leave yourself stranded with like an emergency paddle. You will be sad someday, I promise you. Have a full-size paddle at all times in your boat, ready to go. Those are two things absolutely must have. Optional item would be some sort of knife. It does not have to be the fancy NRS clip-on. It can be a pocket knife. That's just fine. I carried a pocket knife for years, especially if you fish the river. Please carry a knife. There may be a time when you find that you'll absolutely have to have it. It is a piece of safety equipment. Optional, but highly recommended. The one thing I do want to say too, weather dependent, you may want a dry suit or some sort of floating bib, because if you look out right now, we have snow on the ground. That water is 30-some degrees. That could very well be a scenario for you if you fall in. Always assume that at some point you are going to fall in, because it could happen at any time, whether you plan for it or not. That's why the safety equipment is mandatory. That's why it is not optional.
All right, next thing, you guys, in case you get into a sketchy situation with a fish, or you got a PB fish, or you got a big toothy critter, you want a net. Make sure that it is appropriately sized. It's cold out, you guys, for the type of game that you are fishing for. So we got a nice big net. We get tons of pike up here. This is necessity if we want to keep our fish healthy, get them a nice, safe release. As well as laying those PBs, obviously. If you don't have a net holder, you can just lay that right across the bow of your boat as you're fishing. Next up, these are only necessary for bragging rights or if you fish in tournaments. Make sure that you look up your tournament rules, you get an appropriate board, measuring board, bump board as they like to call it, for that tournament. There are some that are not allowed, so look it up. Get yourself a scale. It doesn't really matter what it is as long as it works. We've had issues before. The scale is absolutely necessary if you want to brag about your PBs. If you want to say it was 5 pounds, not 4.93 pounds, like my previous 5-pounder, all right? So get a scale.
All right, let's talk tackle storage very quickly. There's a lot of ways to store tackle on your kayak. There are no rules. You could do whatever works for you. The crate is like the old tried and true. This could be a milk crate. This could be the $2 million Hobie one. It doesn't matter. Within that, you have terminal tackle storage. That can be a box, whatever. That could be all your extra gear and stuff in a Buzbe Quick Cube like this one. That could also be, we use the Buzbe Fast Flats for all our swim bait hooks, things like that. Last but most important, your day box. This is the Buzbe Colony 28. Don't drop it open. But it basically keeps all your stuff there, and if you want to pop your tray out, like today, this has all my blade baits in it, swapped out for, I think it was lipless, something else in there, swapped them out, grabbed those, and then you got your day box. So this is really the only thing that I carry with me these days. We do have a code. You can save 15%. It is in the description below. Go check that out. The other thing, I showed you the medium Quick Cube. This is the Quick Cube large and deep. We use this one for plastic. So this is like my day box for plastics only. Kind of rad. I swap out 2 or 3 at a time, whatever I need. And that's all my plastics.
Another option I'm not bringing today because of the water temperature, but you can also get a nice tub for your plastics. If you guys are fishing tournaments or something, you need a lot of plastics on board. Sometimes that's the scenario. For us, it's not today. You can get something like that. This one's from Sitio Crate. Obviously, you can get super cheap ones. Really nice accessory for you guys if you want to make it easy to unhook fish without yourself getting stabbed, or to re-rig baits. Get a forward-facing rod holder. This is one of the cheapest ones you can get on the market, the Scotty. They're universally mounted to these tracks anywhere you have a track on your boat. And if you don't, go pick one up from Yak Attack, and you can just mount one yourself. But get that, your rod is gonna go in here for convenience. So if I take this rod out,
without breaking
it's caught on everything, which is totally normal. So when I say forward facing rod holder, I simply mean any rod holder on the market that you can place on a track or mount beside your seat where you're sitting on your kayak. And as you can see, it sits up forward and just nice and easy like this. That way, as you're seated here, you can grab your bait, you can re-rig, you can unhook fish. This is great for like days like today. We're using jerk baits with 3 trebles. We're gonna need some assistance from something like that. Cheap, easy, awesome accessory. Make sure you got some sort of an anchor system. So this could be a simple like grapple anchor. It could be a dumbbell. It could be a kettlebell. You gotta have a way to drop that in the water. Anchor trolleys are really cheap for any boat you guys get, so that's a great option. We love the Anchor Wizard because it's super convenient. You can rig it a million different ways. You can actually attach it to a trolley so you can adjust the position of the anchor. Typically, we just run ours off the back, so we have, so all we did was pick up one simple piece of an anchor trolley actually. So we got this nice wheel off the back, and the way the Anchor Wizard works is we just loose the tension here, anchor drops, and then you crank it down and you can bring that anchor right back up. Super easy to use. You can operate it with one hand with barely any effort whatsoever. You'll also notice that we're using drag chains. These chains are super cheap, so just go to a local hardware store. You can pick them up. You can go and wrap them like I did. Sorry for Paul's net. Or you could just leave them open like Paul did. Doesn't really matter. We've used these in rivers heavily and they don't get hung up there, so they're not getting hung up on a lake. Highly recommended. It allows you to control your drift or stop you entirely. So we kind of just measure based on the wind speed how many chains we need, and you can just, you know, we got a carabiner on there, you can just keep adding chains as necessary. And as I mentioned, you can position it anywhere. You can get 2 Anchor Wizards. You can get real crazy with this stuff. Very important, constantly overlooked, cup holders. Make sure you got cup holders on your boat. They can attach to a rail, they can attach to a track, they can be suction cupped. It doesn't matter what boat you have, there's a way you can attach one. Bring waters, bring drinks to keep you awake, but stay hydrated most of all. It's gonna make your day on the water so much better. Right next to that, I wanna point these out. We've got these fast flats, as Paul had mentioned, from Buzbe. The long skinny ones, I find it's really cool because of these tabs. You can just zip tie them to your seat. So if you have a sit on top kayak, there's a way to attach those, which is nice because then you have conveniently located tools and things like that you can quickly access with these sweet zippers. Another option is you can do stuff on the inside of the boat. So I've got these just mounted here. This is from Burly Pro. There's plenty of brands on the market that make them. Just makes your tool storage a lot more easy to access and convenient. And lastly, you're trying to find fish and there's glare on the water, so you need to see them. So I'd highly recommend a nice pair of polarized sunglasses. Lots of brands out there that are super great. We prefer these Waterlands. They're really lightweight, they're comfortable for hours and hours on the water, and that's really important. Just so you guys know, we've got quite a few pairs of these that we're looking to actually schmiv away a pair over on our live. So join us Wednesdays 8 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be schmiving away a pair of Waterlands very soon. You might have a chance to schwim them, all right? 2 pairs I just want to show off that were like pretty new to the site. These are my personal favorite. These are called the Laydown. They are super comfortable, come in a couple different lenses for your choice. These are the green mirror lenses, which are fantastic. That's my preferred choice. It just gives you really good visibility on the water, and I think those just look slick. Or if you want to go really fast, you got to get the Clawsons. Let's go fishing. All right, you guys, there is our rundown. It is cold out and we want to go fishing. This is all the kayak gear you guys should maybe possibly ever need for a boat. At least most of our highlights.
So one thing to note, like, you don't need to get any of those brands. You don't need all of these things. These are just things that we have found over time make the most sense, that keep you comfortable, that keep you focused on fishing and make you efficient on the water. So the great part about kayak fishing is there are no rules. The only rule is you have to have safety gear. So there's one rule, but other than that,
there's really 2 rules. You have to have fun.
Yeah, but if you follow rule number 1, you generally can follow rule number 2.
Yeah, it happens.
So I mean, but it's really important to understand that, like, you can do this on a budget. You can go all out. It's totally up to you. Just do whatever gets you on the water, keeps you on the water, and helps you stay efficient and have a good time, whether you're catching fish or not. So that is really the whole point, and that's why we're showing you kind of the myriad of things that can make this fun for you. Like, that is what we're trying to do here.
Thanks for watching, you guys. If you like the content, of course, like, subscribe. We appreciate y'all for doing that, and we'll see you on the next video.